possibility. Hours before reports of hundreds of explosions in the city of Mariupol, Viktor Semenov was helping coordinate support for civilians and the Ukrainian military.
I had nowhere to run away. I had no reason to run away. We are in our ground. We are standing here for Europe. And the motivation is to do all the things is possible from me today to prevent the bad future tomorrow. We just want to be in peace.
It's past the point of peace. Now come the urgent calls for help.
We need a strong support immediately because Ukraine is under attack right now. Putin wants to build his own world without the democracy and rights of people. We are standing for you guys, but you need to help us.
As reports of casualties rise, the onslaught continues.
From the window of my condo, I could see a lot of smoke and a lot of fire here and there.
When it's safer to go out from his home in Kyiv, Dmitry Otachenko plans to donate blood.
I will try to reach a hospital where I will be able to donate my blood because I am absolutely sure that it will be required in the near future.
In Ottawa, Anna Plugatir has been in touch with her cousin Ina Savska in Kharkiv.
Hello.
Savska says, like so many, she and her family tried to escape, but there was nowhere to go. On a call, Plugatir translated for her cousin.
Ці вибухи скрізь по Україні.
And on the way, we quickly realized that there is nowhere to run because all of the Ukraine was under attack. It was happening everywhere.
Savska is now taking refuge in her basement.
If this monster will be allowed to proceed and take over Ukraine, who will be next? The world will never be the same.
But right now, the people here face the most suffering as one dark day closes and more lie ahead. Ioana Roumeliotis, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, Vladimir Putin is using carefully crafted propaganda to justify the invasion of Ukraine at home.
Certainly the intention of the repeated propaganda on television is to justify the war. It's to justify the casualties that may result from the war.
Coming up, the story Russians are hearing about the attack. Plus,
what we're seeing right now is a small but rapidly increasing chance of a very, very negative scenario.
how the invasion could impact the cost of living here in Canada. Of Ukraine. Vladimir Putin's propaganda machine went into overdrive. It's responsible for a steady drumbeat of disdain for Ukraine's leaders, sent far and wide by the country's compliant TV news programs. Terence McKenna shows us the power of lies told over and over.
Vladimir Putin has closed down almost all the independent TV outlets in Russia, stifling any dissenting voices. A channel called Star TV that is owned and operated by the Russian military, which provides elaborate coverage of Putin's visits to military bases to witness displays of Russia's overwhelming firepower, all accompanied by the breathless commentary of military correspondents. All this is designed to show that Putin has rebuilt the military back to superpower status, that the Russian state can impose its will as required. At the same time, Putin started laying the groundwork for his present Ukraine offensive with a softer approach to propaganda. It began last July with an astonishing 5,000-word personal essay in Russian newspapers that reviewed 1,000 years of Russian history, from the time of Saint Vladimir, founder of the Russian Orthodox Church. The modern Vladimir strongly argued that all Russian speakers were part of one great nation, suggesting that Ukraine was not a real country and even that the Ukrainian language was not a real language. Konstantin Egert, a Russian journalist living in Lithuania, was taken aback by the Putin article.
And what we saw happening in the last months actually only proves that Putin, with his Ukraine article, was not joking. He was not just musing about old history. It was his warning to Ukraine and to the world.
урегулированию ситуации на Донбассе.
Now comes the angry Putin speech Monday that put a similar message in a much more threatening manner.
Вся ответственность за возможное продолжение кровопролития будет целиком и полностью на совести правящего на территории Украины режима.
American Anne Applebaum has written numerous books about Russia and Ukraine.
Putin's speech was an ahistorical rant, a kind of very strange and very convoluted version of Ukrainian and Russian history, which was designed to demonstrate to a Russian audience that Ukraine doesn't exist, that it's not a country, it's not a real country, and it can be eradicated.
Volodymyr Zelensky.
One of the recurring themes from Vladimir Putin, constantly repeated on Russian TV, is that the present Ukrainian government, despite being led by a Jewish president, Volodymyr Zelensky, is somehow a pro-Nazi regime.
І незалежність України.
What he wants to say is that the Ukrainian people, they are good people. In fact, they are Russians like us. And they need to be liberated from this horrific regime which is run by the proto-Nazis in cahoots with the West.
That Nazis theme is picked up on popular Russian programs like this one on the most popular channel, where host Vladimir Zolovyov treats his Ukrainian guests with undisguised hostility.
Вы идиоты! У нас гражданская война. Зачем нам останавливать, если на наших глазах ваша нацистская дегенеративная власть разваливается?
Most Russians believe that the West and Ukraine are to blame for the current crisis, probably up to 60%. And this is a result of a constant stream of propaganda programs over the last 8 years on Russian television.
Mr. Putin picked up another of his favorite themes in his recent press conference with the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, that the Ukrainian government is exterminating Russian speakers in eastern Ukraine.
То, что происходит на Донбассе сегодня, это и есть геноцид. Спасибо.
Well, Putin is using one of his traditional devices. He tells a blatant lie to the face of a Western leader, knowing that this is a lie, and knowing that the leader knows that this is a lie. And then he tells whoever it is, Scholz or Biden or Boris Johnson, disclaim it. Explain why it's not so.
Once again, the Putin genocide theme is given a loud echo from his acolytes on Russian TV.
Мы что должны ждать? Пока там будут концлагеря? Пока они газом будут травить свое население?
Certainly the intention of the repeated propaganda on television is to justify the war. It's to justify the casualties that may result from the war. It's to make Russians feel that they are fighting a mortal enemy rather than a neighboring country that has not attacked them.
Occasionally, the propaganda masters demand a Russian invasion of Ukraine and extermination to follow.
8 лет выкармливаем бешеных собак, гладим по шерстке, разговариваем с ними и думают, что они нас не искусают. Но бешеная собака, она все равно искусает, если вы ее не усыпите.
Many Putin analysts believe he is determined to turn Ukraine into a failed state because if democracy proved a success there, it would lead to pressure for real democracy in Russia and his removal from power.
If it becomes a prosperous democracy and member of the Western club, member of the EU and NATO, then it will give a lie to the Kremlin propaganda.
Could that be Putin's main motivation this week? His fear of a popular uprising in Russia to match the one that happened in Ukraine exactly 8 years ago. Terence McKenna, CBC News, Toronto.